You don't have a black thumb, but you do have a timing issue. And that is because pros actually time their seeds based on facts, and amateurs plan their seeds on excitement. And today's video, I'm actually going to give you a list of seeds along with the months in which you should start them based on whether you're an amateur or you're a pro. Now, the reason for this is because I think the pros out there probably want to learn, experience more, and test the boundaries of what is possible. So you'll have a different set of seeds that you typically will want to start. And then on the other side of things, you've got the amateurs. And the amateurs just want to make sure that they're starting things that need to be started when they should be started. And they want to make sure that they're getting their max dollar value out of what they're doing. So this list of seeds, along with the months that I've listed and when to start these things, is based on a number of different factors. And that is because seed timing affects a number of different things. It causes plant stress physiology and how the plant reacts to that. It affects root development. Plants transplanted into a cooler soil are going to react much differently than a plant planted into a warmer soil. You've got transplant factors. So transplant shock, for example, is something that is quick to remedy if you know what you're doing, or it's quick to identify and then to pivot if you know what you're doing. But it's really difficult to know what's going on or how to identify it if you're brand new to gardening. You also have yield timing. So if you're a pro, you may be trying to plan for your cut flowers to show up strategically throughout the entire year. Maybe you're looking for your harvest to happen 2-3 times a year rather than just once. Whereas an amateur, you're maybe just trying to get a grasp of how things should work. You don't care too much about when things are ready. You just want things to grow and be ready. And therefore, that will change how you actually manage your start times. Most importantly is that meta-analysis does show that the timing in which you start the seeds and transplant outdoors are hugely determinant on what kind of yields you end up with. That stress in those early vegetative stages influences the final yield hugely. So what we want to try to do is not waste light, not waste water, not waste time, not cause burnout, not end up with leggy plants, and not push ourselves too far compared to what we're ready to take on. Okay, let's start back in January. So this is more to kind of gauge you or to take notes for next year as to where you should have been in January, depending on what category you fall into. So January, the pros, you're going to be wanting starting things like storage onions, leeks, microgreens if you're really itching to get things going, and then trial varieties on a small scale. So maybe seeds that you're not super confident in being able to germinate, seeds that you decide to seed save from, but you're not entirely sure if you seed saved correctly. It's a great time to actually start the process of testing. The other thing that you may use January for as a pro is actually calibrating your lighting, so your distance, your intensity, as well as trying out different types of soil. So this is the time in which I spent a lot of time testing out different types of coconut coirs, for example, last year, because I couldn't find one I liked the year before. And then the next year, I thought I'm going to try different kinds. And so I did do a lot of different trials and tests and try to find one I like. I still didn't find one I like, but it's a great time to do that. It's a really good system building month. And if you're ambitious and you're bored and you're a major plant geek, January is perfect time. For the amateurs, what you should start? Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Trust me, you're thinking onions was a good idea to start. And it might have been. It might have been a good idea to start in January, but once we start to accumulate, and you're going to notice how much we're going to accumulate, how quickly through the months coming up, it becomes overwhelming. So in my opinion, I would stay away from it, but you can do what you want. I'm not your mother. I'm not your mother. I am Mother Geek Crew. So if you're part of the Geek Crew, you may want to second guess that. But if you're not, go rogue, do whatever you want. What I do think you can do as an amateur in January is learn. So you can take the time to research what lighting you need, what trays you want, how much money you want to spend, what you actually want to grow, what varieties make sense. If you're a cold climate gardener, you probably don't want to listen to the varieties people are growing in California. You're going to want to watch a video such as what I did on cold climate tomatoes and pepper varieties. Those are the things you want to calibrate. Those are the things you want to lock in. For February, I would say hot peppers for the pros. I think that's probably pretty obvious, super hots and hots. You can also try to do the celery and the celeriac at this time. You could have tried that in January as well. And then any sort of that early brassica species. So if you're a pro and you're wanting to look at getting brassica species that can be harvested before midsummer, so usually like June, beginning of July, February is the time to start these. And so there's a number of different brassicas, usually broccolis, cauliflowers, and Brussels sprouts. Generally speaking, that are early harvest. And so these are great ones to start here in the February time period. For the amateurs, I want you to start peppers specifically. Super hots, obviously. And you can also start with your bell peppers. These generally tend to grow really slowly. They're also very forgiving. And if you screw something up on kind of this first round of trying, you still have time to recover, even if they're just peppers. Now, other than that, another one that you may want to try is just early cabbage. So there's early cabbage varieties out there. Don't let me forget to post them because I did do the March or the February. No, it was the March seed starting video, I believe. And I had mentioned early cabbage and everyone's like, what varieties are those? Completely forgot to post them. So let me know if I do forget. But early cabbage is a great one to start. I personally would not go, in my humble opinion, and the Geek Crew could weigh in on this, I don't think growing cabbage or broccoli or Brussels sprouts in your first year at all in any capacity, seed started or as like seedlings purchased from the greenhouse, is a good idea. They are difficult. They're not a fun plant to grow your first round. They have a tendency to bolt. They have a tendency to get a lot of bugs problems. And yeah, not my favorite. I think that they would discourage a lot of people. So I personally would stay away from them. Someone else may have a different opinion on that. Okay, so now we're looking at March. For the pros, we still have the rest of your peppers you can start. We also have those longer seasoned tomatoes, particularly towards the end of March, that are great to start. We also have herbs. So if you want like really big herbs, March is a great time to start. If you want really big wave petunias or plants and you have the lighting and the space and kind of all that sort of jazz, again, pros, great time to start in March. March is also a really good time to start doing things like cuttings. So if you have like a pothos or wandering dews, anything like that you want to transplant outdoors into hanging baskets or into decorative positions, right now is a great time to actually get those going as well. For the amateurs, you're probably thinking she's going to tell me not to start anything in March, and you'd be wrong if that was the case. I actually want you to start some really inexpensive, hardy, but yet telltale plants. So this can include things like lettuce and kale, along with herbs and some flowers. So the flowers you can start should be kind of like a bulkier flower, like castor bean or something to that effect, not like a petunia or any of that. I personally wouldn't start those if I was a beginner. They tend to be very sensitive to water and humidity and, soil that's too heavy, that sort of thing. So this is just not a beginner crop in my opinion. But things like a castor bean is, the cuttings idea is. But the reason why I say kales and lettuces is because these plants are going to very quickly tell you if your light is too far away from your plants or if it's too close. And I wouldn't expect your lettuce or your kale to necessarily make it. If it does, great. You can put it outside a little bit sooner than you would anything else and possibly get an earlier harvest or multiple harvests off of that plant. That's good. But what I will say is that it's going to tell you what's going on. Are you good at watering? Do you know when to take the top off? Are you good at transplanting? Are your lights too high or lights too low, etc. and so forth? It's going to give you the same signaling that a tomato plant that a pepper plant's going to, that the other plants you plant outdoors even are going to. So if you notice a plant burning in kale due to the lights, you'll be able to identify that when you have zucchini outdoors in a too sunny of a spot. You're going to be able to see that. It's going to show up in the exact same way. And they're great test pilots, if you will. So give them a shot. They're inexpensive and you just can't go wrong. Okay, so April for the pros, you're going to start your tomatoes, the rest of them, the bulk of them. You're also going to start your second succession of your brassica species if you're wanting to go the whole two harvest route. And then you're also going to start looking at your wave planting for your flower crops. So if you're doing cut flower farming, you want a continual harvest of flowers, then right now is the time to start your second or your third wave, depending on how you're deciding to manage this, of those crops. This is also the time I think that a lot of pros will begin to start focusing on hardening off, particularly for those brassica species you want to transplant outdoors early. Maybe you decide to start some perennial flowers in like February or March. April's again a good time to begin that hardening off process, as well as focusing kind of on that root health portion. So are you using root trainers, for example, for your perennials? Are you trying to do air pruning with your plants? That sort of thing. So this is the time to start experimenting with those ideas and those concepts, if you will, as well as getting your greenhouse ready if you're kind of in that league of pro. For amateurs, you're also actually going to start your tomatoes at the exact same time as the pros are. And so therefore, you are kind of all getting off to the same start for tomatoes. You'll notice tomatoes, it's funny because they grow very rapidly, and therefore even the pros don't want to start them early because they will take over unnecessarily so, and then they actually end up with transplant shock issues come spring. Other ones you can start are things like basil. Now you're probably thinking, whoopee ding, basil. There is a lot of different basil out there. There is big leaf basil, small leaf basil, purple basils, you name it. So you can use a lot of basils for a lot of decorative purposes. So don't knock basil till you give it a shot. You can also start coleus. So if you've got shadier spots, if you want vibrant foliage, for example, right now is a great time, or April's a great time to actually get those going. Great, easy flower to start as a beginner. You can actually direct sow these, but if you really want to try to get some flowers started indoors early, marigolds are a great addition. They will bulk out. They won't necessarily die off on you. They're very easy to deadhead. They're a great learning plant. And not only that, you can plant them everywhere in your garden and they just help bring the pollinators in. So marigolds, a great choice. There are lots of different varieties. If you ever say you got sick of marigolds or you don't have enough of them, you're lying because there are so many different options. Okay, so we are here in May now. And May for the pros, you are going to begin direct sowing things like peas, carrots, squash, and beans. This is particularly true if you're in a cold climate and your last frost date is until sometime in June and you have the infrastructure to allow to mulch or cover or whatever to keep the frost away. Definitely get those in the ground because they're your first indicators of when it's time to actually transplant outside. I personally would also put my cucurbits in at this time because cucurbits hate their roots being tussled. So in my humble opinion, those are not ones that you start in a greenhouse. You just throw those outdoors direct. If you are into using things like lettuce or herbs or basil for decorative purposes, start those in the greenhouses so you can do like your cool little rotations between blue speckled or purple speckled, light green, dark green, you name it. Great time to do that. And then amateurs, I don't want you to sow anything outside because the soil could be too cold. And so then you're going to be questioning what you did wrong because things didn't grow and it probably has nothing to do with you. Probably has a lot to do with the amount of moisture and the soil temp and the blah, blah, blah. So I just personally went direct sow outdoors. You can continue to plant waves of stuff, but in my humble opinion, less is more. I would just hold back, chill out, just enjoy what you have and kind of hone in on what you're doing. And then you actually want to spend this time to look up and study what needs to be done to your garden. So what I will say for your amateurs is do not for even a second think to yourself, nope, I can't rototill, or I have to lock into no dig, or I have to lock into, who knows, using compost only, whatever the case is. Do not get dogmatic about whatever you're learning. And that goes for what I'm teaching you. Whatever I'm teaching you, throw it out the window. Be like a sponge, soak it all in, and then determine from there what's best for you. I cannot be more serious about this. That is what it is. So I want you to look at a few things in particular. I want you to look at soil management and what that looks like. Do you need to till or not? Again, do not be scared of tilling. Very important. I want you to look at whether or not and when you need to mulch and what kind of mulch is best for you. You don't have to spend money on this. You can use leaves. You can use grass. These are just as good as the very expensive $20 bales of garden straw. I saw that at Home Hardware the other day and I was like, Jesus, that person whoever invented that is a millionaire on stupidity, but I digress. You also want to look at things like your infrastructure. Do you need trellises? Do you want to use tomato cages or do you want to use puppeteering? Do you just want to use single kind of poles? What does the infrastructure look like? Do you have all your seeds? Do you know what you want for spacing, etc. and so forth? So take this time to just kind of walk into what needs to happen outdoors, not just inside anymore. Okay, so June, I think it goes without saying, it is game time. You are going to transplant as beginners. You are going to put your seeds outdoors at beginners. Pros, do whatever you want. I don't care what you do. You can go wild, test different planting depths for tomatoes, test out different fertilizers, test out different mulches, go wild. World is your oyster in June. Amateurs, you're going to wait to transplant until June, the beginning of June, not the middle of June, the beginning of June, either that or late May at the very soonest. Then you're going to want to get your seeds in the ground. Again, late May, early June, and to continue to plant until middle to late June. You'll be fine. People are going to tell you it's too late. It's not too late. Just give her shit. Ignore them. Then I want you to chill. I just want you to hang out and make sure you're watering every single day of June. Sounds insane, but you're going to water every single day of June as a beginner, and you're going to water not deeply, but short little spritz. So you're going to do short little sprays of water for all of June. Trust me, you'll thank me for that later. I should also add, actually, I have videos, again, remind me if I forget to tag it, but I have videos on using plastic containers to actually harden the plants off. So if you've done like the whole hardening off process and you're still nervous, or if you just want to skip the hardening off process, if we're being totally honest, I have videos on how to do that as an amateur with containers. So, and it works wonderfully. I'm not going to tell you try it. And I personally would just use it regardless because it is a safety barrier against transplant shock, which you can and will experience with all your plants. Okay, July folk, this is the time to start, or the pro folk in July, start your fall crops and your brassicades for fall and your winter harvest, blah, blah, blah. Get those started in July, obviously. Amateurs, I personally would duck out of this entirely. I don't even classify myself as a pro, I guess, because I don't even really start anything in July. I just let it ride. Not for me. I'm not into it. Lots of people are. If you are as an amateur, I would start one. I say start one because I think you're going to find out real quick as an amateur how sick of gardening you become, even though you love it at the beginning. And then you're going to be itching for it come next January or probably even December. You're going to be amped up to do it again. But I can promise you, come August, you're going to be ripping your hair out. You're going to be so sick of plants. It's not even going to be funny. So for me personally, I tap out after June. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward all the way to September, October range. There's lots you can do in August. I mean, Geek Crew, put the recommendations down below. For me personally, though, September and October is where I want the amateurs. I want to talk to the amateurs out there. Pros, do whatever you want. Amateurs, I want you to do two things. Number one, I want you to plant garlic cloves. So you're going to usually do this more so in October than September, but you can do it in September. They're going to sprout. They're going to grow. I got lots of videos on this. That is fine. Let her buck. It's good. So first off, garlic. Second off, I want you to get peas. And I want you to hold off on planting the peas until things get really cold before things freeze up on the ground. But after, the rain and all that stuff has slowed down. So I want you to plant these because this is going to be your indicator next spring as to when it's time to actually plant outdoors. They are going to sprout when the soil is at the right temperature, with the right amount of moisture, with the right amount of light. They're going to begin growing. And now you're going to use that as your barometer to get into the garden. And the reason why I say this is because I can tell you May long is when you put all your seeds in the ground. That's fine and dandy. But if you have a container garden, if you have a raised bed, if you've got an in-ground bed that's south-facing and got no shade versus a bed in the backyard that's completely covered by trees and buildings, all of these are going to have different microclimates, and the microclimate is what matters way more than your zone or your city or whatever the weather network tells you is going on. The microclimate is the key, and the only way to know what the microclimate is doing is either through a soil temp thermometer or through plants. And the plant that is best served for this are peas. I'm in zone 3. I am in cold AF territory, and I plant peas in the fall, and they come up every single spring. So give it a shot. Geek Crow, please help out the amateurs down below. Pros, help each other nerd out a little bit more as to what crazy experiments you like to do. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.